The dumbest person you know is 100% convinced they're a genius, and science proves they literally can't realize how wrong they are. Here's why. You've met this person. They confidently explain cryptocurrency, quantum physics, or why the moon landing was fake after watching one TikTok. They use big words incorrectly, they interrupt experts, and when you correct them, they double down like you're the idiot. Here's the disturbing part. They're not lying. They genuinely believe they're right. And there's a psychological reason why stupid people can't detect their own stupidity. It's called the Dunning-Kruger Effect, and it's about to blow your mind. In 1999, psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger discovered something terrifying. Incompetent people are too incompetent to realize they're incompetent. They tested people on grammar, logic, and humor. The worst performers, the bottom 25%, thought they scored in the top 60%. But here's the kicker. It's not arrogance, it's ignorance. The skills you need to be good at something are the same skills you need to recognize you're bad at it. If you don't know what good looks like, you can't see that you suck. It's like being colorblind and arguing about shades of red. Plot twist, we've known this for 200 years. German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer wrote in 1851, "The fool is convinced of his wisdom, while the wise man doubts himself." He noticed that intelligent people hesitate because they see complexity. Stupid people charge forward because they see nothing. Think about it. When you learn chess, you think it's simple. Move pieces, checkmate. Then you play a grandmaster and realize there are 10 to the power of 120 possible games. Suddenly, you're terrified to move your pawn. That fear? That's intelligence waking up. So why don't they learn? Because learning requires recognizing what you don't know, and that requires knowledge. It's a paradox. You need to be smart enough to realize you're dumb. Here's a real example. A guy on Reddit claimed he could easily perform brain surgery after watching Grey's Anatomy. When a neurosurgeon corrected him, he replied, "You're just gatekeeping. It's not that hard." He couldn't comprehend the 15 years of training because he'd never experienced even one day of it. This is fool's paradise, a bubble where everything makes sense because you don't know enough to see the cracks. And the bubble feels amazing, no doubt, no anxiety, just pure, unearned confidence. Now add the internet. People Google, "Is coffee bad for you?" Read one headline, and suddenly they're lecturing doctors. They confuse exposure with expertise. You watched a 10-minute YouTube video on economics? Cool. An economist spent 10,000 hours studying it. But in your mind, you're equals. Psychologists called us illusory superiority. You recognize the words, inflation, supply chain, GDP, so your brain tricks you into thinking you understand the concepts. It's like hearing a song in a foreign language and thinking you speak it because you can hum along. And social media makes it worse. Algorithms feed you content that confirms what you already believe. So that guy who thinks vaccines are poison, he's seen 500 TikToks agreeing with him. In his reality, he's the expert, and doctors are sheep. Here's where it gets dangerous. Idiots sound smart. They use jargon, they speak with certainty, they never say, "I don't know." And humans are wired to trust confidence. In studies, people rated confident wrong answers as more credible than hesitant correct ones. So the idiot gets promoted, gets a platform, gets followers. Meanwhile, the actual expert is saying, "Well, it's complicated," and everyone tunes out. We've built a society that rewards certainty over accuracy, and idiots are very certain. Let's talk about the unreachable. Can you fix them? Schopenhauer said no. He wrote, "Trying to reason with someone who has renounced reason is like giving medicine to the dead." Because to accept correction, you need intellectual humility, and humility requires intelligence. When you show them evidence, they don't see proof, they see an attack. Their ego is fused with their beliefs. Admitting they're wrong feels like dying. So they fight harder, find conspiracies, attack your credibility, anything but face the truth. Neuroscientist Tali Sharot discovered that the brain processes unwanted information the same way it processes physical pain. It literally hurts to be wrong. This is why facts don't change minds. Emotional safety does. The only way to reach someone trapped in ignorance is to make being wrong feel safer than being right. And that requires them to trust you more than they trust their own certainty, which is nearly impossible. Now for the uncomfortable part. You're probably one of them. In something, we all are. Dunning-Kruger found that everyone overestimates their abilities in areas they're weak. You might be brilliant at math, but an idiot about nutrition, or politics, or relationships. The difference between you and the confident idiot is this: can you recognize it? When someone with 20 years of experience contradicts you, do you listen or double down? When you're wrong, does it sting for a second or shatter your identity? Here's a test. Think about your political beliefs. Can you argue the opposite side so well that someone from that side would say, yes, that's exactly what I believe? If not, you don't understand the issue. You've just picked a team. Real understanding means you can steel man the opposition, not just straw man them. Another test. How often do you say, I don't know, or I was wrong? If it's rare, you're either a genius or trapped in stage 1, and statistically, you're not a genius. So, what's the solution? Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and philosopher, had a rule. The first step to wisdom is admitting you know nothing, not as a cute quote, as a daily practice. He actively sought people who disagreed with him. He wanted to be proven wrong because that's how you escape the bubble. Here's your challenge. Pick one belief you're confident about. Now Google the opposite view, not to mock it, but genuinely to understand it. If you can't explain the other side better than they can, you don't understand your own side. But let's go deeper. Build what I call an intellectual humility framework. First, separate your identity from your beliefs. You are not your opinions. Changing your mind isn't weakness, it's growth. Second, actively seek disconfirming evidence. Don't just read things you agree with. Third, embrace I don't know as a complete sentence. It's not failure, it's honesty. Fourth, find your knowledge edges. Map what you actually know versus what you think you know. Fifth, study epistemology, how we know what we know. Understanding the limits of knowledge itself is the ultimate meta skill. Real intelligence isn't knowing everything, it's knowing what you don't know and having the guts to say, I was wrong. So next time you meet that confidently wrong person, remember, they're not evil, they're trapped, and the only way out is doubt. The question is, are you brave enough to doubt yourself? Here's your final mind bomb. The fact that you listened to this to the end suggests you're not the problem. The real idiots already clicked away, convinced this doesn't apply to them. But stay vigilant. Intelligence isn't a permanent state, it's a practice. You can slip back into stage 1 the moment you stop questioning yourself. If this messed with your head, I hope you'll seek out more psychology that'll make you question everything. And think about this. What's one thing you thought you understood but realized you didn't? Let's get humbled together, because in a world full of confident idiots, intellectual humility might be the most radical act of intelligence.